So what's next for the LA Lakers? We are here to discuss that in today's video. So with that being said, let's get right to it. So in case you guys do not know, the defending champ LA Lakers have lost in the first round to the Phoenix Suns in 6 games. Now let's talk about why this happened, the season recap, how everything unfolded for them this season. So, as you know, the Lakers deal with a lot of injury this year, um, especially to their main stars such as, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, but really derailed their season. In case you guys do not know, in the middle of February, before Anthony Davis went down Valentine's Day, the Lakers team was, I believe, 21-7 or 22-7, which was second in the West. So they was rolling. As much as you know, things unfolded for them, how weird the season was for them, they were still performing very well to start the season. They were still playing very well. They were rolling. They still look like one of the best teams in the league and look like a championship contender. But the moment AD went down, their season went downhill from there. Ever since then, they was played under 500 for the remainder of the season. And then a month later, LeBron James went down with a severe ankle injury. And as you can see, he never recovered from that, fully recovered from that ankle injury. So the Lakers ended up, after LeBron went down, going 7-10, finishing seventh in the West at 42-30. Winning the playing game, barely won a playing game. Hopping into the season against a very good Phoenix Suns team, which tell a lot of people that people were sleeping and underrated the Phoenix Suns team. But they lost to a very good Suns team, and you can just tell that this team was never right. They didn't have their cohesiveness. They didn't have their chemistry down pack, and AD and LeBron wasn't really themselves. Now, with all that being said, let's talk about how they had the shortest turnaround in NBA history. So after winning, let's go back to the bubble. After winning NBA bubble championship, the team had 71-day off season, which is pretty much you got no time to rest. Which put a strain to their body, which caused put their body more at risk for injury, which we unfortunately saw with AD, LeBron, and several others Lakers players. And then not only the Lakers dealt with this, but every team dealt with COVID protocol. So it was just a weird season. A lot of that had to do with a lot of they what went wrong for the Lakers team was they were derailed with injuries. The personnel of this team compared to last year, no chemistry, and this team was really top heavy. Now let's dive in to what's next for this Lakers team. Now if you look at this the current payroll right now, the only players who really extended, who had guaranteed contracts past the season are LeBron James, Anthony Davis, KCP, Kyle Kuzma, and the finals one Kenny. I'm talking about their main guys in this on this list. LeBron James, AD, KCP, and Kuzma are guys who had guaranteed contracts past the season. Now let's talk about what's next for this roster. Now, first person I look at is Dennis Schroeder, who did not have a good playoffs at all, who turned down a 4-year, $84 million contract extension in December from the Lakers, which is looking like a huge mistake now because he was asking for 4 years, $100 million. It's safe to say that he's not gonna make 4 years, $25 million a year. Now, it's a possibility that I think he's gonna make I think the team gonna offer him about $20 million a year. To pry him away from the Lakers. And I actually think it's a strong possibility that he would not be back in the LA uniform next season. My opinion, I don't think he'd be back. Let's talk about Montrezl Harrell, who also had a team option deal this season, $9.7 million. It's gonna be really interesting to see what the Lakers do with him. I'm on the side that he will not be back in the LA uniform next year. I don't know if he made double digit, money for next season or in the future. I don't know if he worth more than 10 to 12 million right now. Based off the way he ended the season, I don't know if he gonna make more than 10, 12, 15 million a year to wait for the type of money he's looking for. But we're gonna see. That's for another time. Wesley Matthews, who's a free agent this year, where a lot of Lakers fans were really hyped up about Wesley Matthews compared to Danny Green. I didn't understand that point. Wesley Matthews was a solid 3-and-D veteran with playoff experience, but if you look at it, he didn't really have a good season. Alex Caruso, who was a free agent this season, my opinion, I think he will be back with LA Lakers. But it's gonna be interesting to see if another team try to, once again pry him away from the LA Lakers. Marcus Gasol, I almost forgot to mention him. Marcus Gasol. I don't know if he's a play option or he got a guaranteed. Is he a play option? I think it's a team option now. Think about it. I don't know if he's gonna be back next season. It's safe to say that he's on his last legs. Jalen Gordon Tucker, who's gonna be a very interesting situation for him off season for the LA Lakers because the deciding factor for the Lakers not trading for Kyle Lowry, was not trading Jalen Gordon Tucker, which kind of right now might hurt him a bit, honestly. I'm not gonna say might have. It might have hurt him a lot because I think Kyle Lowry could have made a big, a difference, a pretty significant difference for this Lakers team, especially during when the time LeBron and AD was out, and then even in the Phoenix series. Now I don't think they would have won the series even if he was there, but it could have been more competitive, and they could have possibly pushed it to a game 7. And then when he puts to game 7, you never know what happens. But yeah, let's talk about Rob Pelinka and his offseason move. Not only Lakers fans and myself were giving a lot Rob Pelinka praise for the offseason move he did, which turned out to be kind of not the best move now when you look at it. He added this offseason he lost Rondo, he lost Danny Green, he lost JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, who I thought was pivotal pieces to the Lakers championship team last year, especially Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee in terms of the center's position, in terms them providing rim protection and solid defense, was, in my opinion, one of the Lakers' biggest weak spots. Even when they was fully healthy in that center position, they had no rim protection outside of Anthony Davis. But yeah, them losing Rondo, Danny Green, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard really, came to hurt them in the playoffs. But a lot of people thought on paper, including myself, that this team actually improved based on the offseason additions. Adding Dennis Schroeder, who I thought was a better player than Rondo at this stage of their careers. But you couldn't tell for the playoffs. Rondo was, known for his being playoff Rondo. And then Dennis Schroeder was very underwhelming in the playoffs and, towards the end of this season. Then they added Wesley Matthews, who people thought was kind of upgrade for Danny Green, which I didn't understand and never thought he was an upgrade for Danny Green. Yeah, Danny Green is very inconsistent and can be frustrating at times. But I think at this point in their career, Danny Green more valuable to teams and playoff teams, contender teams than Wesley Matthews. Wesley Matthews did have his moments this season in the playoff, but ultimately I didn't think he had a good season. I didn't think he had a good season. Then they added Montrezl Harrell, reigning 6th man of the year. Thought to be an upgrade at that center spot, which he became a liability, on the defensive end, and he was out of rotation by the end of the year. Which, in my opinion, I thought he should be getting more minutes, compared to players like Andre Drummond and Marcus Gasol. But that's part of the reason why I believe that Montrezl Harrell will not be returned to the Lakers next season, due to the lack of minutes in the way they, didn't really trust him in the playoffs until the end of the year, and the way they didn't really utilize him, And just think about Montrezl, he didn't really fit with the Lakers team, if you want me to be honest. And then, last but not least, they added Marcus Gasol, which they thought he was gonna be, what he provided this season. They did not expect, they did not expect him to be this. I want to say he didn't have a good season. You can tell he's older now. Not the same player that he once were. Not the same caliber defense, that he provides, as he did, through this past decade. Safe to say that Marcus Gasol is on his last legs. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Crowded time, can't be crowded time. But from Marcus Gasol's standpoint, he ended up being a better fitness AD compared to Drummond, who I want to talk about now. He wasn't an offseason move, but he was a trade deadline move for the Lakers. Drummond did not have a good, season with the Lakers. Neither offensively or defensively. Think about it, on the defensive end, he was even worse than he was offensively. Offensively, he really struggled to get integrated with this Lakers system. He didn't really have time to get integrated with this system. So it's tough to really blame Drummond too much for him being out of place, him not knowing what to do, especially on defensive end, which he was very lost on defense at times, was absolutely unacceptable. You know, but I did say Drummond is not that guy. Honestly, I don't think he's the best fit next to AD and LeBron due to the fact that he clawed the paint too much for AD and LeBron. Lakers are the best when AD's at the 5 and LeBron's at the 4. But AD do not want to play the 5. Don't like all that banging out low. And necessarily he's not really strong enough, and he ain't really built for banging with the 5. Um, in fact, and then you gotta think about him. His biggest issue is his inability to stay healthy. But yeah, dating back at the moves the Lakers did, it is safe to say that Rob Pelinka jumbled up his roster too much, really messed up the chemistry to this team and the cohesiveness that this team had last year compared to this season. You can make a case for that. So that's why I want to say what's next for the Lakers. Lakers really in a tricky situation due to the fact that they really locked in the cap space. They don't really have much room to add players. They can trade guys with Kyle Kuzma, but I think they do need to trade Kyle Kuzma because I don't know. Kyle Kuzma is need to be traded from the Lakers squad. I think he'd be better off flourishing somewhere else. You can tell that he don't really necessarily fit with this Lakers squad. So, and he's been, a disappointment compared to where Lakers fans were hyping him up a couple of years ago. Really hyping him up a couple of years ago. He just hadn't been able to live up to the expectations, which I thought was very unfair. Which was, very unfair to him. But now let's talk about the future outlook to the Lakers squad. Whew. LeBron James getting up there in age, man. Is it safe to say that LeBron James is no longer the best player in the league? I think you can make a case for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Cause LeBron James has been, been the best player in the league for about a decade now. So Father Time, meets no end. Can't be Father Time. LeBron James going into year 19 next season, coming off a significant ankle injury, which I do think he will recover from that. With a extended offseason now. Safe to say that LeBron James can no longer carry a team by himself. You saw that this postseason. There's nothing wrong with that. People need to stop acting like just because people say that he's not the same player he used to be doesn't mean we bask on anything. No. Father Time meets nobody, and I love LeBron James, one of my favorite players of all time. But it's safe to say that LeBron James cannot do the carry job that he did early in his career at this stage of his career. The fact that he even still is good at this, stage of his career is incredible in itself. Let's talk about Anthony Davis, man, who really the biggest X factor for the future of this Lakers squad. If you're a Lakers fan, you gotta be concerned about Anthony Davis. He's this young. He's too young to be getting injured like this. To be getting injured this, amount of time. He need to, find out what he doing wrong. Clearly he doing something wrong. He need to fix that because if LeBron gonna, pass it with time to AD. It is safe to say that Anthony Davis can be your franchise player right now due to the fact that his inability to stay healthy, man. He got the talent to be a franchise player, but we got to see him, be durable. We got to see him stay on the court, and he just had not been able to do that throughout his whole career. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this roster. We don't know what Dennis Schroeder situation. KCP, I believe. The only players I'm telling you that going to be still on this roster next season, as I would say right now, is LeBron James, Anthony Davis, really, and KCP. Nobody else is really safe on this roster. And the thing is, now you think about it, in the big concern you have if you're a Lakers fan for a Lakers organization, they can't really make moves unless they get trades for Kyle Kuzma, KCP, do a sign and trade for Dennis Schroeder, but they don't really have room to add to improve this roster. They really locked in their cap space. And we got other teams improving the West, such as Utah, Denver, all the other teams improving. Where Lakers right now might be stuck. It's really older team that is very top heavy. So, can you say that the Lakers will be championship contenders in the future in the coming year for LeBron James? Can LeBron James get another ring? That certainly is a possibility. Or with teams like Brooklyn, who I think will be better next year. Things are looking scary for the Lakers, man. Do I think this team still a championship team? yeah, I just think this year was this being derailed by injuries. I thought this team was a championship contending team. This was my preseason pick to win a championship. Um, but they've really been derailed by injuries. So I feel like I rambled on too long. Let me know in the comment section if I made any sense with this video. Let me know in the comment section if you guys agree with me about the Lakers outlook being kind of questionable right now. What additions can the team make in the offseason with the cash space pretty much being locked in? And what moves do you guys think this Lakers team would make in the offseason? So let me know in the comment section how you guys feel about the Lakers going forward. How you guys feel about LeBron, AD, and this Lakers squad. How you guys feel about Kyle Kuzma going forward? With that being said, I'm gonna end the video there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys tonight for a recap video. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.